5, 4, 3, 2.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have Bill Graziano here, current president of PASS. Bill, take a look behind us. Check this out.
I know. Is this just
This
amazing?
is great. I mean, this is the place to be. Is PASS Summit, right? So once again, Bill, hey, welcome to PASS TV.
It's great. It's great to be here.
So great job on the keynote, by the way.
Thank you.
Hey, what'd you think about the keynote that Quentin did?
It's a pretty neat stuff. I tend to like the technical demos myself, and some of the ways to query the data and see it visualized just instantly as you put it in. That's pretty neat stuff.
Yeah. So let's talk about past president, right?
Yeah.
Your successes, your experience.
Yeah.
Can you tell the
Yeah.
viewing audience, what's going on with the presidency involving
Sure.
PASS?
Well, I got to be president for 2 years. This is my second year, so this is really when things start to wind down for me here at Summit. So the last 2 years have been pretty eventful. We got a lot done, and there's two really big things that we tried to accomplish. And the first is the globalization of PASS, and that really started with the presidency before me, Rashad Mehta. And we appointed some international board members to talk about how we might make PASS more representative of the global community. And so that culminated in a bylaw change that created seats on the board for different regions. So in this most recent election, we elected our first person from the EMEA region for an EMEA board seat.
Nice.
So that's just a huge step down that direction. And over the coming years, we'll carve out different seats for different regions and hopefully become a much more inclusive organization for everybody around the globe.
That's awesome.
It's pretty neat to see. The other thing that we did was our Business Analytics Conference. And so that's another, we hope, flagship event, much like this amazing thing is. And it really ties together the technical professionals that create the data or manipulate the data to the business analysts that use it, that create the presentations, that make decisions based on it. And it was a fantastic event. We had it in Chicago this year, and oddly enough, we had it in the very same hotel property where the very first PASS Summit was. And I'd like to say we planned that out.
Yeah, right.
But it just happenstance happened.
Right.
But it worked out really, really well.
Right. Excellent. Excellent.
Yeah.
8 years, right? It's been 8 years being on the board.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes,
how
it
has
has.
that evolved? How has that changed?
It's interesting. I was joking with somebody when I started on the board. The summit was much, much smaller than it is now, and the board was really involved in detailed financial decisions like
Right.
how much can we budget for lunch, how much can we budget for cookies in the afternoon breaks.
Right.
And now, we just set an overall budget. Headquarters just makes all those problems go away. We spend a lot more time dealing with how do we expand into different regions, how do we better include non-English speaking members, things like that. So it's been amazing to see us grow and become more mature as an organization, to see the board go from detailed issues to talking longer strategy. It's just been very gratifying to see it all go forward.
So how'd you get started being president? I mean, you kind of told me this story
Yeah.
earlier on about
Yeah.
how you got started. It's
Yeah.
just pretty amazing.
So
little story.
my journey to PASS starts at walking into a chapter meeting in Kansas City, where I'm from. And I walked in, I knew just one or two faces. I sat down, I listened to a presentation. And from there, it just seemed like each step was the next right thing to do. I went to Summit, I saw the amazing thing that was happening there. I came back and ended up becoming the leader of the local Kansas City chapter.
Nice.
From there, at the next Summit, I volunteered to be on the program committee that helps pick sessions for all the educational content we do. From there, I ran for the board. From there, I moved on the executive committee, and now I'm sitting here as president. So it's been a long journey, but it's just a bunch of little steps. So if anybody's out there, you're curious, how do I get more involved? I would encourage you to go to our website, find your local chapter, just go to a meeting, just sit down and listen.
Yeah.
Who knows where you might end up?
Right. Your term's ending. It's coming
My
up
term is
December
ending.
31st to transition
Yeah.
to the new president, Thomas LaRock. Tell us about that.
I am so excited for Thomas. He is
Yes.
going to do a fantastic job. He's got a great leadership team with him. And it's bittersweet. I've watched the presidents before me come and go and looked at what we've accomplished under each one and know that, there are things I wanted to get done that we just didn't get done, but we did accomplish so much. And it'll be interesting to come to the summit and not, we spend so much time and so much work in the weeks leading up to this. It'll be kind of a nice, relaxing time to come to Summit in the future. But
Yeah.
I'm as much as I've enjoyed it, I think I'm ready to be done.
Yeah, well,
It's a fair bit of work.
You've done a great job.
Well, thank you.
Fantastic job. You know, people are watching. They're watching on the internet right now.
Yeah.
Pass TV. How can they get more involved in Pass? You got to come check it out. Look at this. It's a great event. You know, how do they get more involved in Pass? We're watching today.
So there's a lot of different ways to do that. So we talked earlier about chapters.
Yes.
And we have, and I should know the number, but I don't, hundreds of chapters all around the world. So if you go to our website, you can find one near you. Another thing that we do that's an in-person event is our Sequel Saturday event. So many of our chapters put on day-long free education on a Saturday. So it's a day-long. We did one in Kansas City just a month ago and had 300 and some people at this. And it was just a fantastic little event, all put on by volunteers. Just a great way to meet people in the community. If you're somewhere not near a chapter, if you're maybe not a native English speaker, we do virtual chapter meetings, which are all online.
Awesome.
So we'll arrange a presenter, you know, they'll talk, you can ask questions online. It's a great way to get to know people, maybe interact with them. It's just a fantastic thing to do. And the last real thing that we do is we call it 24 hours of Pass. So we do 24 hours of technical education all online. And again, it's like a virtual chapter meeting, but 24 of them strung together. So wherever you are in the world, whatever time zone you're in, we've got you covered.
Yeah, Spanish, Portuguese, German, right?
Yep.
It's all coming.
We've actually had 24 hours of Pass in. Oh, I'm not going to remember it. I need my little marketing notes with me. I think we've had them in Russian and Portuguese, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
But I know we're really starting to push hard into those international, into those non-English events.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's awesome. So, well, thanks for joining us here. I know how I got started was Sequel Saturdays.
Yeah.
You know, those are big events in Florida, and that's where I first got to know a lot of my community members, like Andy Warren and Pam Shaw and those folks. You know, that's a great place to start too, is check out your local, you know, Sequel Saturday and check it out there, or for sure go to Pass. So with that, any closing remarks here on the interview?
Gosh, you know, I want to thank everybody who is here watching this. It's been a pretty amazing event. It's funny you mentioned the Florida group. They are one of the most vibrant groups out there. The Sequel Saturday events actually started in Florida with, Brian Knight and Steve Jones and Andy Warren, the Sequel Server Central guys.
Right.
And, it just spread throughout the country. And so they ran it originally. And then after they had done some number of them, they came to Pass and said, would you be interested in running this?
Right.
And we talked, about what their vision for it was and what we could do. It was just a very smooth transition to have us take over and begin to run that. And we had the resources with our HQ staff to be able to support it.
Right.
And that has led to us hiring community evangelists who go out 2 Sequel Saturdays, 2 chapter meetings. If you're a technical person, running a chapter would be kind of a different set of challenges.
Right.
I'm good at writing SQL. How do I beg or plead with somebody to, hey, come speak and do this? So those people talk about what you can do and how to do it, and it's pretty neat.
Bill, it's a pleasure having you on Pass TV.
Hey, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thanks for the interview. I'll see you around.
All right.
All right, take care. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Bill Graziano, president of Pass. Also, you can follow us online, #PassTV. So check us out. We've got upcoming a Summit Live report with Lana and Chris, a couple of individuals I just met, having a great time working with them. So we're going to be there and moving over to that shortly. Once again, follow us on the internet, #PassTV. Thank you. Are we good? So welcome back to Pass TV. I've got Lana and Chris here. Welcome. How you doing? We're doing a Summit Live report. So you guys are really got a lot of community buzz out there going on. And you can tell us, what's happening on the Pass Summit floor. Curly, start with you, Lana.
Yeah, sure. So we've just been at the keynote. I'm sure Bill covered a couple of the highlights from that.
Sure
it was
did.
Awesome, that NASCAR intro with Bill, winning the race there. That was absolutely fantastic.
That's awesome.
Chris and I were also at the welcome reception and the First Timers program events last night. So I thought I'd tell you a little bit
Tell me
about the
that.
First Timers
Absolutely.
event. That was awesome. So we work really hard to introduce our first timers to the PASS community and make sure that they feel as welcome as possible in the SQL family. So some of the program elements included a couple of months ago us reaching out to Summit alumni members, and they became volunteers as Summit buddies. So we had about 50 people sign up as Summit buddies, and their job pre-conference was to reach out to our first timers. We had about 1,500 first timers in total, so it's quite a huge component of the entire PASS conference. And the Summit buddies reached out with great emails, tips and tricks about making the most out of Summit. You know, kind of got that feedback from the first timers about what are the things that they really needed to find out about attending PASS Summit. You know, what sort of shoes to wear, what sessions do I go to, do I have to go to everything that's on, how do I get any sleep, how many coffees should I have a day, you know, all that stuff that just adds to their experience here this week. So that was awesome. And then yesterday we had 2 get to know your community sessions. So they were more central on you know, staying in touch with PASS outside PASS Summit. So you know, a lot of people don't realise that they can come to PASS Summit, but then the rest of the year there's even more learning opportunities, there's more networking opportunities, there's all sorts of things that they can do every day of the year to stay connected to the SQL Server community and keep connecting and sharing and learning, which we're all about. So those sessions were put on by Kendall Van Dyke and Kevin Klein, both PASS board members. And they had some great tips on, you know, joining local chapters, joining virtual chapters, staying connected through social media, and a lot about who the SQL Server, the SQL family really is, because people come here and they don't realise that there's this huge network behind PASS.
Absolutely.
And it's so important for them to feel welcomed, and that's just what happened at our later event, the orientation meeting. So we had about 1,100 first timers enter a room. There was the Summit buddies, they were wearing these really cool little propeller hats, and we've got some interviews to show you later on that.
Excellent.
And they were, you know, clapped in, they felt extra welcome, and then we had an awesome panel of Kevin and Kendall again, who'd done the Get to Know Your community sessions. And then we had Amy Lewis, who's the Passion Award winner. And then we actually had a first timer on the panel. And
I saw that was fantastic. Getting that Crystal Award, that's a big achievement there. And women in technology as well, so she's working in a lot of those different areas.
Yeah, absolutely. And Amy's a great person to spread that SQL family love. So that event just went so well. Then they went on to the welcome reception, and I think Chris can share a bit of the highlights of the welcome reception with us.
It's always one of my favorite parts of the event. Usually we get together, all the attendees will come in, we do the quiz bowl. You usually get a drink ticket or two, you wander around, you see everybody you haven't seen, and I don't know, maybe a year, maybe 5 years. I ran into a buddy of mine that I haven't seen in 10 years. So it's just amazing. You sit there, you visit for a little bit, and watch everybody relax. You take it easy. It's a big opportunity to network. Absolutely. With a lot of the speakers, because you know, one of the fears that I don't know, I'm sure Lana hears, but that I hear a lot is how do you approach the speakers? How do you get that one-on-one time? You know, some of the people look up to the speakers as, oh my gosh, it's, you know, we don't want to interrupt them. We know they're busy. And
this
really,
is the opportunity.
This is it.
Is to get in front of people.
And they enjoy it. They love to take the time to visit. They want to hear about the SQL stuff, you know, they just want to, you can't catch them before they go into a session, but you go to a welcome reception, it's a great place to do it.
Yeah, I talked to 2 MVPs from Amsterdam, and they were down by the bookstore a little bit earlier, and I asked them, what brings you to PASS? And they hit it right on the head there. Networking. It's about networking with other folks, you know, not just the great sessions and the speakers as well, but just getting to know the people in the sessions as well. So that's awesome.
It's huge, and I think a lot of companies have been hesitant in the past to send people to major conferences because they feel like, oh yeah, you know, if we send our employees, they're going to go out and drink too much and party all night, and they're not going to get stuff done. Where they need to be in a session every minute learning. And I get it. You know,
that could be the case here in Las Vegas. But
I think they don't realize the potential of the networking opportunities. Like, you know, it's a lot about the sessions and about the learning, but it's, you meet people here, and I think that was one of the big things at the first timers event. you know, people got there and they're seeing Brent Ozar, they're seeing Kendra Little, they're seeing
Right.
speakers and bloggers that they would just not have time to, you know, not have the opportunity,
Right.
to get in contact with otherwise. And that's just like, where else can you do that better at Past Summit?
So somebody may have read a blog or saw a presentation, and the whole thing made perfect sense to them, but they missed this one little bit, and it's like, how do I connect those pieces? How do I put it together? It's a perfect opportunity. Grab a speaker when they're sitting down to lunch or at the welcome reception, walk up and, you know, hey, I got a soda or a Coke for you. Do you have a couple minutes? And some of the really popular speakers, you know, everybody is really approachable. They're welcome, they're open to it, and I think you're going to make not just a good networking connection, but often really good friends. I mean, you have all these common interests, so why wouldn't it be?
And we have so many opportunities to follow up with those networks that you make here, like, you know, encouraging people to get onto Twitter and create their own handle so that they can then follow up on those questions, as Chris said, after the conference and be like, you know, great to meet you, and keep that connection going. And then, you know, of course, adding people on LinkedIn and getting on Facebook, and, you know, there's just so many ways to connect with people and keep those relationships. And then next year, you're, you know, best friends with them.
Follow along, right?
Yeah.
Twitter, hashtag
Exactly.
Sequel Pass, hashtag Pass TV. So, so pleasure, Lana, Chris.
Thanks, Blaine.
We're going to be
Blaine.
hanging out a lot for the next 3 days. I'm excited. Pleasure meeting you, and let's go have some fun.
My goal,
Absolutely.
that's my goal.
All right. Well, thanks a lot.
Thanks so much,
Appreciate
Blaine.
it,
And
Mike.
coming up, we have an interview that I'm going to be doing here shortly with Dr. David DeWitt. He's going to be joining me here for the next interview. So with that, stay tuned.